Today, we are going to be doing a live bus hunt. So this is basically where to find your bus. I've got a lot of great sources. There's a lot of great sources in general. And some of them you might not be aware of at all. So basically what I can do here, oh, I've already done it. I can show you my screen. So we can go webcam and we can go screen share and boom, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first one is publicsurplus.com. This is a website where you can buy basically goods and materials and vehicles and all kinds of things, buildings that are being sold by either government or private organizations. And the big thing here is that you can get a deal. This is also an auction-based website. So public surplus, we can come down here and we can look at school bus or we can look at transit bus. Let's go ahead and look at the school bus. And I'm going to leave this here for a second because there's another similar website and I've got it right here. It's called GovDeals, govdeals.com, publicsurplus.com. We can do the same thing in GovDeals. So I can come down here and look at school bus. No, it's under vehicles. Well, you know what? We'll just come here and say school bus. Boom. So these are the first two spots. This is two government auction websites. And this is exactly where you're going to get the best deal. The problem is that you're going to be bidding against other people on this. And you know, there might be a relatively large amount of competition. However, people don't tend to overpay on public surplus because you're often getting, you know, I don't want to call it a mixed bag, but the odds of you getting to check this out in person, it's not always going to happen. So here we've got a bus. It's in Ohio. It's a 2006 Bluebird. I can see here that it's a front engine. You can do a VIN decoder. Sometimes you can find out more information if you take this VIN and type in VIN decoder. And I haven't done this in a long time actually, but we'll just try this one. VIN decoders. Yeah, I've used this one in the past. So sometimes you can get more information. Sometimes in these public surplus, or if you find a bus that's on Facebook Marketplace and the seller doesn't know like what transmission it is. Let's check that VIN. If they don't know what transmission it has, you know, oftentimes they don't. What engine? Sometimes you can find that out here. This is a bit of a hack. So hopefully this doesn't take forever. And I can't read the live stream. Kelson J, thanks so much for being here. Madison Busia, man, thanks for coming back. Unfortunately, I can't read the chat while I do this. Maybe next time I can figure that out. But I could not find an angle for that. Okay, so check it out. We've got a Bluebird All-American. It's got a Cat C7. And I even have... What are these? I don't know what these are. Recalls and complaints. Looks like it has recalls and complaints. Okay, well anyways, this one didn't tell me that much information, but you can often find out more information from a bus. When I was looking up buses back in the day, that was quite helpful. Anyways, assuming at this point that you have found the criteria for your bus, like let's just say you want a dog nose, you want a front engine, you want a rear engine. At that point, I'm searching for, and I've also probably at this point decided roughly what engines that I want, just a we'll talk about this in a future video, but the Cummins 5.9, the Cummins 8.3, the International DT466, those are, and the International T444E are those are the most common and the most desirable ones. There's also a Cat, there's a Mercedes-Benz engine, there's old Detroit diesels. There's a lot of options, but at this particular point, you should have a bit of a checklist for what kind of a bus you want. How long is it? What style? What engine? What transmission? And now I'm going to go through these, and I'm just going to go ahead and say I want a rear engine 35-foot bus with an engine that I like and a high ceiling, because I'm not going to do a roof raise. And I'm going to show you guys how to identify that. So this Bluebird All-American looks like it could be one. I can see right here it's a front engine. See how you guys can see this radiator grill right here? I know that's a front engine. This one I can't tell. This one in Virginia I can't tell. So we're going to check them out. Let's go to the next page. And look, I got all these dog noses, right? You might be into dog noses. I definitely like them too. And especially if you're looking for a short bus, a short dog nose is pretty sweet. And a lot of people out there are hunting for a short dog nose. And we don't have a ton of options right now. Sometimes these sometimes there's a ton of agencies getting rid of buses in here. And that looks like a front engine, but let's check it out anyway. So that's all we have. So let's wrap it up with public surplus. This is one of the best spots to get a bus. And one of the important things here is that we need to know where this bus is and what agency it's with. And that's going to play into our due diligence later. So we've got a description here. I know that it's got a Caterpillar 3126 diesel. That's not a deal breaker for me. It's got an Allison 2000 series. That's great. Air brakes is good. Having air brakes is, in my opinion, better than hydraulic. It's a 30-foot long bus, and that's great. They're even telling us the 76-inch interior height here as well. But it doesn't run or drive. So, yeah, it's probably not up our alley right now, unless you want to repair an engine. So let's just get rid of it. Got a 2006 Thomas. The bus runs good for short distances, starts to shake after 80 miles of going past 65 miles an hour, front end issue. So it's got a suspension issue. You know, we're not looking to buy projects here. We're looking to buy absolute gems straight from an agency. So hopefully we can find one. Right now we've got a Public Works and Fleet Maintenance in Virginia. The school bus has wiring problems. The headlights stay on. And a small transmission leak. That's probably quite fixable. So this right here, basically these districts will take a bus and they will run it until it's starting to cause them some problems, and then they'll put it into reserve. We don't really want to buy reserve buses, but if we have to, it's not out of the question. So this is a bus. This is a bus that kind of meets my requirements. I don't know how long it is because they haven't mentioned it. This is where I might use the VIN decoder. And if I'm interested in this bus, I'm definitely going to look up this agency right here. This, I can't say that, Pequasin Public Works. I'm going to Google Maps that. Let's just do it right now. Pequasin. What a funny thing to have to say. I'm going to find the phone number for Pequasin. Look, I've already got a staff directory right here. So I can spend some time looking through this staff directory and find myself somebody who sounds like the right person to call. I want intel about this bus. Like, we need to do due diligence on this bus. So I'm probably going to, this is the Department of Public Works. So I've got 2 phone numbers here and an email. I'm going to call these 2 phone numbers and say, hey, I saw you guys have a bus for sale on publicsurplus.com. Can you tell me anything more about it? Blah, 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 blah. So that's Public Surplus. Let me check on the chat and see how you guys are doing. Rolling Jays, welcome. Revision Industries, welcome. Okay. Yeah, all right, Revision Industries, we'll get to your question later. You guys can always drop questions in the chat. So Public Surplus, that's how you do that. And I'm going to go ahead and delete the rest of these. Unless, yeah, I might want to buy a bus, so unless something really grabs my attention. But this is low-hanging fruit, guys. This is a great way to bus shop, but everybody's going to be bus shopping in this manner. Govdeals.com, same deal. Like, here's a 2006 Thomas in Tacoma. I can't really see if it's a front engine or a rear engine, so let's check it out. We've got a lot of dog nose. Okay. 2000 Bluebird TC 2000. This is the Bluebird TC 2000 makes some really short front engine buses. And I've got 2 really short front engine buses right here. Like, these things are very cute. And this this might work for a lot of people, to be honest, especially looking for a shorty. All right, so while we're here, I want to show you guys something real quick. Do you guys see my mouse right here? Do you see how these windows line up with this door? And this window right here lines up with this driver's window. This to me tells me that this is a mid-roof bus. So we want to be looking for high window, high roof buses. These mid-roof buses are usually 75 inches to 76 inches of ceiling height, and the high window are 77 to 78, and the low window are 72 to 74. So if you were doing a roof raise and you're going to get rid of all of your bus windows and you're going to reskin and put RV windows in, go ahead and buy a short window bus, a short ceiling height bus, because you're going to get that for cheaper. People don't really want it because you can hardly stand up in it. If you're not going to be doing a roof raise and you are of average height, like I'm 5'10", that's pretty average, you really need as high ceiling height as you can find. 77 to 78 inches is about as high as it gets. So I definitely recommend that you hold out for buses like that, and that is the best way to identify it. This window height that I was telling you about. See this one right here? Same window height. Let's see if we can find one more so that I can really show you guys what I'm talking about. Maybe we can find a low window and a high window. That's sideways. Okay, mid window once again. So this is probably 75, 76 inches. They're not telling us. Okay, so this looks like a high window to me. See how the window is a little bit above? This might be a mid window as well, but it looks a little higher. The Thomases also have a bump. It's hard to see, but the Thomas buses have a bump right above the driver's window and right above the door. It's probably right there, but it's hard to see on this one. And yeah, we can hardly even see in here. It's tough to get all the information you need sometimes, but sometimes that's why this bus might not get bid on, and you might be able to get it for cheap. So let's chuck GovDeals out of here, and it's tough not seeing you guys in the chat. No, we can definitely talk. Okay, Mr. Smith, Isia, man, that seems like it should be an easy name, but I'm messing it up. We will answer all your questions when I've gone through this a little bit further. So those are the two places that you can find buses that are on auction. There are more. I'm going to show you a couple. Iron Planet is one. Iron Planet sells used equipment. A lot of these are located to a particular area, so I think Iron Planet is kind of like in the Midwest, or around there. I might be thinking of that because, so like here, school bus, they're going to have buses. Midwest Bus Sales also has a ton of buses for sale on auction, once again. So these are two just to tell you guys about in addition. Iron Planet does not seem to have much for sale right now, although this is a cool short dog nose. And Midwest Bus Sales. And there are more, so if you can just Google school bus auction, you will probably find more sources. But there's four for you. Oh, looks like Midwest. I think Midwest Bus Sales is very much a dealer that also has. Maybe these guys don't have auctions. Anyways, speaking of dealers, let's go to those next. So, AAA Bus Sales is in Arizona. They are a very schoolie-friendly bus dealer. And I checked their inventory earlier. They don't have a ton of inventory, but I actually realized now I can show you guys low. Here's a great example. See this window line right here? These are both international RE3000s, rear engine. This window line right here tells me that this bus ceiling height is like 75 or 76 inches, and this one over here is 77 to 78. This is the one that I'm looking for right here. Boom. That one looks great. So AAA Bus Sales, A to Z bus sales is actually where I found Gilligan Phantom. I checked their inventory earlier. They don't have anything reasonable for sale. But you might want to call dealerships like this, especially if you're on the West Coast, and say, hey, this is what I'm in the market for. Can you call me if you get anything? They might call you. Northwest Bus Sales is near Seattle. Same deal as A to Z Bus. They have great buses pop in. And I really like, if a bus shows up from these guys for like 10 grand, they've gone over it. They've detailed it. They've done most of the due diligence. And I love buying from a place like this because you have somebody to call. If this thing breaks down, you can be like, hey, you guys are a reputable dealer and I think I need your help. And they probably will at least take your phone call and maybe do some troubleshooting. And if you're not too far, they probably send out a mobile mechanic for you. So those are 3 that are on the West Coast. Next up is Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is a really interesting place to find a bus. It's not my favorite, but there's some absolute gems out there. And let me show you guys something. Like, if I just search for bus, like I might not even search for school bus when I go into Facebook Marketplace, because look at this, 2004 Thomas bus. Nobody has said this is a school bus, and so if you are searching school bus, it's not going to show up. Look at this, Skoo bus. This is that's a great way to find a deal. Basically find a bus that nobody is buying because it hasn't been spelled right. But what that means is that you're going to be working with sellers that really don't know what they're doing. Or I should say just might not know what they're doing. Like whoever bought this bus, they might not remember what transmission it has, what the history is. They don't know what the maintenance has been. You're relying on them to do your due diligence straight from the district for you. And you don't know if this has gone through several buyers or not. However, that being said, I was working with a guy who was looking for a nice Baja rig, and so they were looking for a dog nose with high ground clearance that would allow them and their family to go down through Baja. And he had his sight set on a bus like this, but a shorter one. I think he was looking for like 30 feet. And it had a T44E, basically the Power Stroke 7.3, and an Allison AT545. And that would have been fine, but he wanted to tow a vehicle behind it as well. And, I said that's probably a fine bus, but you might want to look for something with a larger engine. And he ended up finding this absolute gem on Facebook Marketplace. It was a Wildland fire rig. It was actually in South Carolina, but it had come all the way from California. It had been upgraded to the 9s by this Wildland fire agency, and it had an all-mechanical DT466, which is a total find. And he found it on Facebook Marketplace. This is a great place to find a gem. And when you're looking here, you can now, you can search for school bus, but you can also change your diameter to 500 miles. And you can move it around the country. So I'm sorry about my slow internet. But let's say I've exhausted my search here in the Southeast. I can just move it to Dallas if I want. Dallas, Texas. And now I get 500 miles from Dallas, Texas. Look, I can cover a whole part of the United States like this. So now I've got a new set of buses to look through. Similarly, on Craigslist, forget about Craigslist because it's too local. You can come here to searchcraigslist.net or just Google search all of Craigslist. And you're going to find this, and this is where I like to do specialized searches. So like, let's just say I really want a school bus with a Cummins engine. You don't want to rule out too many buses, but let's just search school bus Cummins. So now I can sort by date, not by relevance, because if you sort by relevance, a lot of these ads will have been deleted already. All right, looks like I got a Skoolie for 10 grand. So this is what's going to happen if you don't search by relevance. This is industrial property for sale, but just ignore that. Any bus after 2007 is going to have emissions requirements. It's going to have diesel particulate filters. It's going to require diesel exhaust fluid, DEF, and that makes maintenance and operation more expensive, and it makes repairs more expensive. And so, as a general rule, I mean, I'm sure Skoolie builders will adapt to this at some point, but as a general rule, we don't go over 2007 because it gets more complicated and it gets more expensive, and there's just no point, really. So I found a couple of buses that have Cummins engines, and now I've got a bunch of tabs. That was me opening a bunch of tabs. And when I was at work, they used to call me the tab guy because I would have 30 tabs up on the screen. So here I've got a Bluebird front engine, 2003, 39 feet long. Ceiling height is 6'1", and it has a Cummins engine. Could be the 5.9, could be the 8.3, but this might be somebody, if they are anywhere near you, worth calling, if that meets your criteria. And I would actually say that Craigslist has a slightly better culture than Facebook Marketplace these days. Some of the older sellers are on Craigslist exclusively, and I think it's a great place to find a good bus. And you're even getting some agencies listing. Like this clearly is a dealer. This is probably a dealer. Oh, okay. This is AAA bus sales. There you go. So you're gonna find other people. You're gonna find agencies and dealerships advertising on Craigslist, and I think that's how we found. My wife found Gilligan Phantom, and I think she probably went to search all of Craigslist and said Gillig school bus, and then we found a Craigslist ad and bought it from A to Z Bus Sales. So anyways, ooh, this is interesting. This has a replacement rear doors. Kind of cool. That looks like, and look, it's already been gutted. So yeah, Cummins 5.9 for $9,500. That's a cool looking bus. It's a little long, probably for a 5.9. Okay, that's. Oh, I'm curious about the Gillig. Hold on a second, guys. I'm curious about the Gillig. Are there any Gillig school buses for sale? School bus conversion project. Yeah, there's some older Gilligs. There are some, wow. Not a lot of Gilligs. Yep, and they've already been deleted. Okay, so I hope I didn't bore you guys to tears with that. I am now going to be doing questions. And if I can find my chat, I can do that. And let me put my face back up here and go to the questions. All right. Okay. Oh, thank you guys so much for contributing to the chat. Okay, so yeah. Isaiah said, have you heard of that place? And then he says, Las Vegas. No, wait, he says, bus sales in Florida. Back when I was shopping for a bus, I did call them. And I didn't get like the best vibes. I definitely want to see those buses in person. I just, like, I feel like they don't have a reputation. Uh-oh. Something's happening with my stream. BGA doesn't have the absolute, like, people don't talk about BGA the way that they do AAA bus. AAA bus, yep. Northwest is the same as Las Vegas bus sales. Very true. Very true. Oh, we got somebody not recommending AAA. Okay. Well, you know, not everybody's going to have a bit of a stain at some point. I got a text. I got to make sure that this isn't somebody saying the stream is totally messed up. Uh-oh. It's Nova and River on an ice cream date. Okay, so. Oh, so Rolling J's, you had some discrimination basically from AAA bus. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. It's going to happen. I guess it's going to happen. I had a good experience calling AAA. They wouldn't budge on the price, and I really didn't feel like their bus was worth 10 grand. But so, if you guys want to chuck questions in the chat, we will get straight into them. And if you have any other recommendations about where to look for buses, ones that I'm not aware of, we can look at them together. So let me get to Mr. Smith's question. And he was asking me in a community post about the thermal brake. So if you guys remember me building Gilligan Phantom, I took some of the rigid foam board insulation that was in the roof, and I compressed it, and I put it between my furring strips and the metal bus ribs. And I think if you want to go the extra mile, that's a good idea. But I don't think it's essential. I do think it is essential, though, that you fur out your ceiling. Because if you take your ceiling and you screw it straight into the metal ribs, you 100% are going to get condensation at some point on your screw heads, and you're going to get the heat and the cold of the screw heads into your interior space. And that is a big deal. Because if you're in a place that's cold at night, and then the sun wakes up and starts beating on your bus, you're definitely going to get some condensation on those screw heads. So creating a thermal brake is essential. And I remember your question, you mentioned, is it only essential in the ceiling, or is it important on the walls as well? It is not as important on the walls because you don't have that sun beating on the walls. However, I absolutely would still do it. I don't think I didn't do the compressed foam behind my furring strips on the walls. I think that's overkill in general. I don't think it's a bad idea though. So if you want to take the time to do it, I would definitely go for it. And I think I missed a question. Okay, what tools would make our demo faster? We currently have an electric hookup for tools. So rolling J's, assuming you have rivets all over your bus, I made this short 3-minute video that like nobody has seen. I'm gonna pop it in the chat for you. I just wanted to provide a little bit of value for you guys, quick and easy. And this will help you if you have some money to buy a air compressor. You shouldn't have to spend more than like 150, 180 to do this, but this will make your demo so much easier. It's absolutely worth doing this. Even renting for 2 days. That video is in the chat right now. And that will help you with demolition. Removing rivets is tough, and basically if you buy an air compressor and you buy an air chisel, which is a little poker thing, and an air, what's that thing called? I guess it's also another type of, that's an air chisel, and there's another one, there's like a poker one. You need those two tools in order to effortlessly remove rivets. But you'll see more about that in that video that I popped in there. Okay. Thanks so much, Rebecca. Put the kids to bed for sure. My Nova and River are coming back from their ice cream date with mommy soon, so they'll probably be running in here soon. But yeah, they're going to bed really soon too. And thank you. Thanks so much for watching. Did you say you're on your 6th bus build for friends and family? That's so cool. Hey, drop your social media in the chat so I can check it out. Natasha asks, what was the hardest part of the build? The hardest part for me is woodworking, because I'm not a perfectionist, but I have sort of high standards for myself that I can't necessarily meet without taking a bunch of time. So for me, the hardest part is woodworking, and woodworking is, it's a good 30 to 40% of the build. It takes up a lot of time, so you get fatigued. Sometime in the middle of woodworking, I will usually save a task that's more mindless, I don't know, like mounting the undercarriage water tanks or undercarriage storage. But that's the hardest part for me, is woodworking. Hey Anthony, welcome here. You got an 8-pound pup. Okay, party bus or shuttle bus? Yes, Anthony, I do have opinions about a shuttle bus, let's just call it. First of all, I think you can find, there's a bit of an arbitrage here with the school bus, because School districts buy them, they maintain them for years, and then they sell them at auction when there's tons of life left in them. And I'll be right back. I'm going to bump the lights up. Now, with shuttle buses, you also have churches which are buying these and using them for many years and often selling them when they're in fine condition. They might have sat and they might have gotten slightly less excellent maintenance, but there's a bit of an arbitrage there as well. The shuttle bus is definitely a go. It's a little bit less adaptable because it's made out of fiberglass instead of metal. So you can do less things with it, like you can't really raise the roof of a shuttle bus. But they're often lighter, and they usually have pretty efficient like engine packages. So if you find a shuttle bus with the PowerStroke 7.3 or the Cummins 5.9, those engines in small buses are the most efficient diesel engines, especially the Cummins 5.9. So I do recommend a shuttle bus. I recommend a shuttle bus over a van because you can get a shuttle bus way cheaper than a van. And as long as you are cool with building your bus or building your home inside of a bus, which is actually what I'm into. I'm not into like modifying everything. I want, you know, a roof and some walls and a floor. And I want to build my bus inside of that, or my house inside of that. So I like a shuttle bus. All right. Hello, Gabrielle from Argentina. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming. Kyle, what is an ideal bus length? Hey, Kyle, drop your details. Like, is it just you? Is it you and a family? Tell me about your situation, and we can talk about the ideal bus length for you, because it's really going to be different for everybody. Okay, Home Flavor says, I need to take off the sidebars of the bus since one is damaged. They are screwed, riveted, and glued to the sheet metal. How do I take off the glue without bending the sheet metal? I tried heating it up. The side bars. Are you referring to the, like the bump rails on the exterior? Yeah, I think that's what you mean. Okay, so that sounds tough. If heat doesn't handle it, I wonder if there's like a chemical product that you can buy, and hopefully you can get to the glue that will dissolve or break up the glue. That's the next thing I'm gonna try. I'm gonna Google like glue dissolver. Hopefully that's a thing. Adhesive remover, like adhesive remover is a thing. So that might help you with that glue. You got an air hammer from a pawn shop for 40 bucks. Very good. Rub rails. Rub rails is what we call those. So Home Flavor, are you talking about the rub rails? I think you are. Yeah, adhesive remover. So Kyle, if you're here, tell us about your situation so we can pick a bus length for you. And I'm actually going to start looking for Anthony's shuttle bus. So let's go to publicsurplus.com. Oh wait, I got to show you guys my screen. And let's actually go to, let's try for paratransit bus. Wow, only one. That's not much. Let's also check out transit bus, because sometimes these end up in here. But I don't see any yet. That looks interesting. There's, yeah, at the bottom here, there's two. Let's also look at police. I'm just curious. Okay, Crown Vics. Sometimes in the police section, there is like a, what should I call it? It's like a staging vehicle. It's for command. Like if you have a big incident and you need a bunch of people to be running command from a vehicle, sometimes they have a big bus. And there can be some cool buses that both the police and the fire department use, and other agencies as well. So, all right, so I've got an 18-passenger Ford F450. It's a gas engine. That's fine. And it's got 198,000 miles. It's a little bit more for a gas engine. You know, you want to figure out how many miles you need to put on this thing. Is it like 25,000? Is it 100,000? How much do you care about resale value? So that's a pretty cool bus. Shuttle buses are a go, for sure. Look at that. You can also take an E450 and you can lift it and you can make it four-wheel drive if you want to, because it's the same platform as the vans. And there's several companies across the United States that will they'll do a bunch of suspension and engine upgrades to these vans. And let me check out this blue one. Would you rock this blue? I actually am into buses just being the color that they are. You've never seen me paint a bus for that reason, but I'm not sure I could rock this blue. That's very rich. So yeah, shuttle buses are out there. Let's just check Facebook Marketplace real quick for shuttle bus. Oops. We've got a 2002 Ford E50 for $9,500. Let's try and find a diesel. We got a Chevy C5500. That's going to have a Duramax. That's a good engine. It's a diesel. So look at that. Shuttle bus. It was a church. It says Baptist right there. But then somebody also used it as a mobile office. And then this guy, this is a beast. I like this thing. You know, but I haven't done a shuttle bus, so there's going to be some details that I'm not aware of. Oh, and turns out it's got a gas V8. I think I'm still looking for a diesel, but with a shuttle bus, I think gas is definitely in play as well. So let's check in on you guys in the chat here. Awesome. Okay, Kyle has 2 people, no kids, full-time mobile living. All right, so Kyle's going full-time. Kyle, I'm so sorry. Tell me one more thing. Oh, okay, I think you're looking to live a fast-paced life on the road. I do want you to strongly consider not a bus, because a bus sort of limits your rate of travel. I should put it this way. You should be looking for a short bus, something that is shorter than 30 feet, and that will make it quite mobile. You will be able to go to almost all national and state campgrounds in a 30-foot bus, or van, or RV, or shuttle bus. But I really wouldn't limit yourself to like the big monster bus. You could do like a dog-nosed 30-footer. You could do a front engine. You can also do a van with 2 people. I really think that you'll find that is true. The vans are there's a lot less interior space though. And having like a bus is 8 feet wide and vans are 7 feet or a little bit less. I'm not super familiar with that offhand. But a shuttle bus, especially one with these flat walls, can be 8 feet. So I would be looking for something like that, to be honest. Madison Busman is considering venting his gray tank onto the bus next to the mini split. Do you think this is okay? Yes, I think that's absolutely okay, because the mini split doesn't actually pull any air into your bus. It's that outdoor condenser is just for cooling the condenser coils. So you're not moving any air. So yeah, you can definitely do that. Kendrick says, curious if you have heard anything about people using foil polyiso foam board. Foil polyiso is a fine insulation. Polyiso actually degrades the colder it gets. So it's not like it's not the best subfloor insulation, and it's not the best ceiling or wall insulation. But the fact that it's foil faced means that if you stick it in a window cavity, it will reflect some of that heat back out. And I think that it's good in that application. But polyiso insulation, the colder the insulation gets, the lower the R value, is what I mean by it degrades. And I'm not really quite sure about the science behind it, but just something I've read several times. FP says, your content has inspired my wife, myself, our 9-month-old son to seriously do this. Congrats on the 9-month-old. Kids are the best. We've been saving like mad for the last year, and we are 1 month away from pulling the trigger on a bus. Just want to say thank you for the inspiration and information. FP, if you want to talk about, if you guys are about to pull the trigger, let me know what you're targeting. Like what size bus, what style, what engine, because I'm into that stuff. Anthony would rock the blue. Okay. Anthony, no, so Anthony asks, this is about, we were bus hunting for Anthony. Would you keep the lift? No, I would get rid of that because it's definitely in my way. So rip it out and try and sell it. Kendrick says, what are the ideal gearing for these buses? I hear that's one of the most important things. Could you explain that to us? Okay, interesting. So it's a little bit tougher to figure out what the gearing of a bus is. The answer really is in driving it. So basically, the gearing refers to, well, the long and short of it is the lower the gearing, the faster it's going to go at highway speeds, but it's going to have less takeoff. So like if you're going uphill, a higher gearing is better. And you guys got to forgive me. I'm not the engine expert, but you'll find a lot of buses that only run 55 miles per hour because they are stop and go vehicles and they've been geared in that manner. And you would have to re-gear a bus that goes that slow. So you really want to be looking for something that is like highway capable. And for me, that means that these buses are governed at a certain RPM so you don't overheat the diesel engine. So, at or near that peak RPM, the bus needs to go down the highway at like 65 miles per hour, or at least 60, because you're not going to be happy otherwise. You don't want to be stuck at 55. Then you can also, like, the VIN decoder might be able to tell you what the gearing is. A mechanic could tell you the gearing. The buying from the school district, they might be able to tell you the gearing. But I don't know the exact gearing offhand that you should look for. I think anything between like 410 and 3.5. I'm going to learn more about that for our our bus engine episode, but I got to read up on it more. Rolling J says, am I weak? Why was my angle grinder so strong I could not turn it off? There are some angle grinders that run really fast, so you're probably not weak. You probably just have a crazy powerful angle grinder. Kendrick, is it good for the? It's good for the heat. That must have been about the gearing. All right, Joseph says, I'm 6'4". What bus would you recommend? All right, so 6'4" is pretty tall. You can still rock a 77 or 78 inch Skoolie and stoop your head a little bit. I think you would get used to that. Ideally, it would be even taller. There is a van, the Ford Transit high top van is the highest ceiling height van, and I think it's like 82 inches. That would work, but you're looking for a bus. Obviously, a transit bus, which has much lower ground clearance and much less space underneath the bus, does have much higher ceiling heights. So that's where I'm going to start. But I honestly think for you, a roof raise is not out of the question, especially if you're into the bus and you like metal and metalworking. People DIY roof raises all the time, successfully. Okay. Ooh, Joseph. Okay. Mr. Smith says that BGA has 9 high top 40-foot buses coming in. Yeah, so 77 inches is pretty much the highest. And Joseph asks, does 40-foot still let me into the national, state and national parks? Not all of them. Some of them cap out at 35 feet. Some of them cap out even lower. I know that we couldn't go into, I think Glacier National Forest we couldn't go to. Yosemite, maybe there's some parts where you definitely can't. I think Yosemite, you definitely can't drive all around that place with a 40-footer. But we still went to Yellowstone, we still went to Zion, we still went to pretty much everything in the desert you can go to. You just can't necessarily get into like the mountains and the redwoods. 35 foot and below is almost everything you can get into. Kendrick also asked, can you do a 48 or a 24 volt inverter / battery bank while using 12 volts for lights and other things? Yes, you buy a transformer that changes the voltage from 48 or 24 to 12 volts. And I've always done 24 volt battery banks, and then yeah, bought a transformer to go down to 12. Okay. And Kendrick, yeah, the gearing 373 and 410, those are two common numbers. Just make sure it does 60 plus on the highway before you buy it. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay, so Kendrick is going back to the polyiso insulation. Is that stuff better for heat than other insulations? I think the R value is slightly higher, so technically it will be better than the rigid XPS foam board, but not by much. So if you're set on that insulation and you're only going to be in hot areas, definitely use it. And if you can get it for cheaper, yeah, use it. But as far as the subfloor goes, I know for a fact that 15 and 25 psi XPS insulation will not be compressed. Our buddy Chuck Cassidy has done like a definite test. I'm gonna go to Chuck's YouTube. He has done the ultimate test. I'll chuck it on here. So this is how we know that you don't have to frame out a subfloor by any means, but I can't promise with the polyiso insulation. So I'm going to drop this in the chat. If you guys have some time, you should watch this. It's pretty cool. Share? Where's the share? I should know this. Okay. Copy. And, oh, I'm sorry, you guys couldn't see my screen. Well, here it is in the chat. This video, you should give it a watch. All right. You guys are dropping a bunch of knowledge to each other in the chat, which is awesome. If anybody has questions, you're totally welcome to drop them. Or if you want me to search for a bus for you, let's do it. Let's bus hunt together. We've got about 10 minutes left, by the way. All right, so Madison says some school systems lock out 6 gear on the bus transmission to regulate gearing also. My 6 is electronically locked out. It can be unlocked by a service center. Very true. The MD3060 has 6 gears. It's an excellent transmission, and the 6th one is usually locked out. And you really want to get that 6th gear because it's going to help you run at lower RPMs at higher speeds on the highway, like 75 miles per hour. All right, of course Kendrick knows Chuck. Everybody here should check out Chuck Cassidy's channel. He's like the bus expert. He's the pro bus builder expert. I'm like the amateur, not expert. So does anybody have a bus they want to search for? Otherwise, I'm going to look for more shuttle buses for Anthony. Let's do search all Craigslist for church bus. See if we can find some gems. By the way, I am willing to travel to the West Coast for a bus. Me personally, if you watch my videos, you saw I did it for both of our buses. And I know for a fact that buses over there do not have rust. And I would rather have a fun adventure and pay for some fuel than spend extra time doing work. So I am always looking west, southeast, northwest to an extent. Those buses are usually fine. and not so much in the Rust Belt, personally. Okay. We've got shuttle buses and church buses. Wide selection. Church bus. 2011 school bus. And let's also search for shuttle bus E450. Shuttle bus Ford. That'll do it. If you guys want me to hunt for a bus for you, I can totally do that. This is fun for me. I think I found the same blue bus over here. See, yeah, 15 passenger E450 in Atlanta. Like, Atlanta's not going to have a rusty bus. Go get a bus. So we got a dealership with a bunch of shuttle buses for sale. I'm not paying more than 10 grand for a shuttle bus. Unless it's perfect for my needs. Just so you guys know, there's more uses for these buses than school buses, so they do tend to be a bit more expensive. But I'm gonna wait out. I'm holding out till I find a good deal. Look at this, guys. 35-foot dog nose church school bus for $1,500 in California. If I want this bus, by the way, I'm calling a mobile mechanic to go check it out, and I'm just going to spend the $150 necessary. So I'm going to find out where it is. I'm going to say, hey, do you have time to go check out this bus? I might have to call like 5 to 10 mobile mechanics, but I'll make sure they know that it's worth their while. And I'm going to ask the seller a ton of questions. I'm just going to like make sure that he knows what he has before, I travel to get it. So this is near Redding. Okay. Redding. Okay, it's near Sacramento. So anyways, this is how I'm handling this, or I'm finding somebody in the community who is local. If this is the perfect bus for me, which it might be because it's from 1987, so it's all mechanical. It's 35 feet long. It's got this really cool front end. I really hope I'm not boring you guys to tears right now. But look, that's a cool bus. All right, back to the questions. Corey asks, where did you purchase your bus? So I got Gilligan Phantom from A to Z Bus Sales, which is in Redding, California. It's right outside of LA. And that worked out really well. I paid for an oil change because I didn't know that it had the right oil or not. And I paid for an inspection and greasing of all the joints. And then I drove it home. And besides running out of fuel, nothing bad happened, thankfully. All right, Kendrick's been looking for a flat nose, full-size bus with a Cummins and a 3060 trans. You will definitely find that. And Kendrick is going for 2004 and earlier. I feel like it's going to take me some time. Yes, it will take some time to find the perfect bus. Like, I spent at least a month looking for Gilligan Phantom, and Katie and Sam and myself, and my wife, of course, was bus hunting through all of this as well, because it's fun to bus hunt. I will bus hunt for you. Just let me know. We can do live bus hunting anytime you want. Just send me a comment. So Usagi has been looking for a full-size Bluebird DT 466 near Ohio. You'll find that for sure. Kendrick says you should make a video or list of what questions to ask before buying, or let us know here. Yeah, I will, I think I'll make that a future Skoolie Support live stream topic. And now I will make a list. You're right. We need a list that I can give to you guys as a gift, like my spreadsheet. By the way, if you haven't seen my bus expense spreadsheet, our second bus conversion, our wild caravan, me and Sam, mostly Sam, documented every dollar spent. And so there's a sweet little spreadsheet. It's in the description of this video, so please check it out. Corey asks why full mechanical. Yeah, so an all mechanical engine, it means it doesn't have any electronic sensors, probably doesn't have electronic fuel injection, which means that there are many more things that you can fix on the side of the road. You can basically more successfully be your own shade tree mechanic. And also the bus is not going to tell you as frequently whether it needs to stop or not. For me, that's really good news because when you're in a bus, it breaks down on the highway. You need to get it off the highway. Eventually, state trooper is going to stop you, or they're going to stop by and say, hey, you got to get this bus off the highway. You're going to have to tow it. My goal is to never be on a tow truck. I've never been on a tow truck with Gilligan Phantom, knock on wood. I did with our wild caravan. But with the all mechanical, the bus can't tell you not to run, basically, unless it's got like, it's severely overheated or it's low on water or maybe extremely low oil pressure. So like when we were driving this bus, we lost some coolant. I saw the engine get hot. I pulled over. I had a popped coolant hose. I was able to fix that. Fortunately, I had the right coolant hose one time, and the other time I had a friend with me who was able to bring me to an auto parts store. And so you can do repairs on the side of the road. I actually repaired 3 coolant hoses. And then finally, I brought it to a shop and I said, can you just replace all these coolant hoses because I don't want to deal with this again. All right, guys, we are wrapping it up here. The Vermont registration trick. Kendrick, you should Google that. I got to go, but you should Google that. It is legit. And I appreciate you guys being here. If you guys want one-on-one support from me, SkoolieSupport.com. I can be in your back pocket while you build at all times, which might be helpful for you to save time. And yeah, thanks again for being here. Thanks for being a Skoolie Support supporter and a supporter of my channel. And I'll see you guys next week at 8 p.m. EST. And I'm gonna make a community post, if you guys would check it out, where I'm gonna ask you for topics for Skoolie Support. Drop your topics in that community post and I'll address that topic in a future video. And thanks guys. Thanks for being here. See you next time.